Welcome. Sit down, roll up, pour up, turn up and tune in. Because you're now watching the Bunch of Bull Network.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to the world's dopest podcast, the Marley State of Mind podcast, down here at a Bunch of Bull Studios, as we do it every Saturday. And tonight, I got a special guest in the building with me tonight. Please introduce yourself, sir.
Yo, what's up? It's Dejan, also known as Albino Christ.
Yes, sir.
How we feeling?
Feeling good, man. How you feeling tonight?
Peaceful.
Peaceful. That's a good way to be, man. It's a good way to be. I always like to kick off the podcast saying how I was introduced to the creative or the artist that I have on. For you, it was Bunch of Bull Studios, how we really connected. You're a family of the Bunch of Bull Network, so it was only right that we had you down here and we talk about your journey through spirituality and also, of course, the poetry that we have going on. So it was only right to have you. So I appreciate you coming down to join me, brother.
Thank you for having me.
For sure, man. Now, for you, with the journey in poetry, how long have you been in poetry? How long have you been making poetry?
I've been writing it since 22.
Okay.
22.
So it's rather new to you then.
Yeah.
Now, were you always a writer? Have you always written?
No, I was more, when I was younger, I didn't really write. I drew. I drew a lot, like pencil and paper. I was a drawer. Okay. And it kind of fascinates me now that like I'm more into wanting to like write my thoughts down. And I kind of drew my thoughts down.
Okay, so you expressed yourself through the drawings when you were younger, and now you're doing it more through the words.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So how did you make that transition? What came to you? What inspired you to start getting into poetry? What made you want to start writing down your thoughts?
I think it was a combination of like a lot of different things. Like when I first started smoking, I would go after I smoke, I would go to my friend's house and then I would start watching like battle raps.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, these are really cool. And I happened to find one particular rapper, Daylight.
Yeah, no Daylight, yeah, for sure.
I don't know his style, him flipping the words and all that. I was like, hey, yo, like I don't know anybody else that's doing anything like that or that I've like really hear like that. It's always like, the mainstream be kind of filled with like certain shit. So I was like, I like this. And then I started like, just flipping words one day, just seeing what I could do with it. And then, boom.
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that because it seems like modern day battle rap is a lot like spoken word, right? Mm-hmm. Because they do it a lot of times with no beat. It's mostly a cappella, right? The modern day battle rap, and Daylight is one that has like real slick wordplay, right? Like things that make you think about it after he says it, and you can think about it and think about it over again. And every time you hear it, it might sound different to you.
Right.
And I always found that neat about battle rapping myself. Like sometimes I use that to inspire me to write. Even when I'm writing just rhymes and stuff, I will listen to like some battle rap because it does get you thinking about words in a different way.
Yeah.
So I definitely respect that. So you never inspired to do music or anything like that? With that being the inspiration for the poetry?
Nah, mostly like nah. I kind of just kept it to like poetry, I guess. There's not everybody, but a lot of people are trying to be musicians.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me
slide somewhere different.
Yeah, because I could be in the way of somebody else trying to do some shit. I'll just go over here in this other lane and do my own thing and be out there, just be over here.
I respect that for sure.
I respect the music stuff, and like even with like my most recent like poetry videos that I've been putting on YouTube, I've been putting like instrumentals behind them. So it's not I won't necessarily say like a music video, but like I call them like a poetry visual in a sense.
Okay.
So,
like music video like though.
Yeah, but music video like.
Right,
So, but I don't know. I'd have to work with, being in the studio on the mic. I'm still kind of I never really did it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So you say you started doing poetry rather recent. You were inspired by the battle rap scene, Daylight to be specific. What was it about him specifically? You know, that made you say like, yeah, let me start dabbling in these words. Let me start playing with this.
Um, Specifically, like the stuff he's just so different. Like he's a troll,
Yeah.
and he got antics, and I I gravitated toward that. I liked that part of it, but I think the biggest part about him that kind of pulled me there, because not only does he do battle rap, he has like a YouTube channel where he's like, he gets in front of his camera and he starts like talking about like knowledge and stuff. And I was like, I was on that same thing. Like I was going and like searching for things and trying to find out different things, and he was doing the same thing. Plus, he did the music part too, and I was like, dang, like. So it was like
You found a kindred spirit within
yeah.
what he was doing.
Yeah, I was like, it was somebody really relatable at the time of where I was at. I was like, dang, I can relate to that, like
Right.
a lot.
Now you said he was on a mission and you were kind of on the same mission. What was that mission for you?
The mission for me,
What was that quest for knowledge for you? What were you searching for?
I was trying to figure out, and still figuring out, just ways to liberate Black people.
Okay.
Ways to liberate Black people, because I've noticed that like and it's been going on for a while, but like at some point in my journey, I was just like, Black people, there's something different about us. There's something special about us, and we don't know that all the time, but something else knows that, and they're using like that against us. That we don't know how great we are.
I like that.
So we're getting trapped in a box, and we're getting all of our like senses and all of our stuff dampened, our knowledge and all that stuff dampened, just because we don't really know
That don't have knowledge itself.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's that's a powerful thing. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I find that to be very true as well. I think it's by design, the fact that we had our history and our knowledge stripped from us.
Right.
And like you said, we are special people, right? We are the heartbeat of this country in a way. We're the season and we're the flavor of this country from everything that's influential, especially the hip hop culture itself, right? You see the hip hop culture in every commercial and
Everything,
in every
facet.
aspect of life, right? And a lot of that comes from modern music, comes from us. Modern American music comes from us. Every form of it, and you're right. I think it is a design program to keep us our senses dampened, as you said, and you can see it in a lot of things. And I think we don't have true knowledge of self, and we're probably getting further and further away from that. There were periods of awakening that happened throughout history that we can notice, but they were only periods, and for whatever reason they've been squashed out, or we ourselves sometimes squash them out, and we're sometimes we're our own worst enemies. And you know, there's a famous Jay-Z quote by way of Kanye. I heard the whole crab in the bucket thing, and they always say crabs aren't supposed to be in a bucket. So that's the problem right there. We're putting crabs in the bucket. They're not even supposed to be there to begin with.
Right.
So when you say liberate, what do you mean by liberate exactly?
I want people to, especially Black people, to be able to think for themselves. I think we let a lot of people think for us. We take on a lot of ideas outside of us, like things given us. I mean, even me calling us Black, like that was given. Like liberate from that. Let's call ourselves something instead of somebody else giving us a name,
putting a title on us.
Yeah. Like yeah. I don't know that type of stuff, but like there's a lot to uncover.
Yeah.
Like spirituality, religion, like economics. There's a lot that I want to like liberate us from. Like, and I don't want to say I can't do it by myself. I don't want to put myself in that box.
Right.
However, be greater with a team.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, that's quite a mission, and it's quite a honorable mission at that, to to want to take that upon yourself. And you know, some of my heroes have taken that mission upon themselves. You know, I mean, Kwame Ture, Malcolm X, of course, Marcus Garvey. Um, Folks like that are my heroes, and I study a lot of that. So it's funny that you talk about the liberation, because I know myself at one point in time had maybe still or whatever, but I have the same longing to help us understand that knowledge itself. You know, I mean, I often do that with my children, trying to make sure they understand exactly who they are, because a lot of time in American culture, especially, they usually start our history off as slaves, when there's so much more beyond that and before that. And I think that a part of that is what you're talking about, the mental, um, the mental, uh,
Like
the mental prison that they put us in by making us think that, for lack of a better word, I had a better word, but for lack of a better word, the mental prison that they put us in by thinking that, you know, that's what we started off as property, when we were something much more prior to that. And what that is, there's a lot of theories on exactly what that may be. But I think there is a reason that we don't know what that is. But yeah, no, that's a very noble mission that you're on, to do that. And it is important to have a sense of self. Because when you have a sense of self, then you could truly progress, and you don't have to just live with the scars and the ill, or you don't have to live with the dogma that they put on us, what they tell us we are. You can know who you are. So no, I definitely feel that. Now, is your poetry an expression of that mission?
Yeah, it's an expression of that mission, and it's helped me be able to get my thoughts like out. Like a lot of the times, like sometimes, like being able to express myself can be tricky. Like I'll be fumbling over my shit. It's a lot, but like writing it down, it's just like, it's more freeing, and it's more, I don't know, it's more creative than just, I don't know, than just saying it. I can say it in like a snazzy way, or I can say something make you think, something to make you think, because that's a big thing about it too. Just getting people to think more and more for themselves.
Yeah.
Like,
so you're trying to invoke thought whenever you're putting pen to pad.
Yeah, invoke some thought in there, get you to think more. Like I said in the beginning, like I don't think people are thinking a lot for themselves. I don't think people are doing a lot of that. I think people are just, you know, taking on things from other people. Someone tells you something, and then you just run with that, instead of being like, wait a minute, like you got a brain too. You gotta use that.
Yeah.
Like,
trust but verify, right?
Yeah, like what the world?
Yeah, trust but verify.
But yeah, my poetry is it's an expression of like the liberation. I do have that in there. It's sprinkled in. It's sprinkled in there with, like, you know, expressing myself, but throughout the whole all my poetry, it's like a big thing though. It's like a big part of it.
Now, were you a fan of poetry growing up? Did you read poetry as you were coming up?
No, not really.
Yeah.
No, I played video games. I drew, and I watched anime.
Okay.
I didn't. I mean, you know, for like when you're in school, you got to do that. You know, that poetry in English class and stuff.
Yeah.
And it didn't interest me that much back then.
Really?
Like I wasn't like looking at it like, oh wow.
Why do you think it didn't interest you? Do you think it wasn't introduced to you correctly? You think if it would have been introduced in a different way, you might have been more receptive?
I think, yeah, that, and I think I was depressed a lot as a kid, so.
I think that's a natural part of being a kid too, right? Just,
yeah.
Especially a teenage boy. You got all these emotions and feelings, like you don't know what the hell is going on.
Man.
Yeah.
Man, and since like some people got guardians there to help them, some people don't got guardians there to kind of
guide them along the way.
Yeah. So like, I just think if there was anything back in the day that would, like, I probably wouldn't even have been focused on it. I probably would have like shunned it, looked away, and probably went to another way.
If it would have been introduced to you at that point in time.
Yeah, it might have been because it could have been introduced to me like, oh, this might help you express yourself, da 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 da. And I think I might have I think I was straying away from the positive things. I was being real negative in my mind,
Right.
so I was going more towards because I remember a lot of people attempting to like give me some like
Different outlets.
yeah, some like, and then people would come over and talk to me and like say some positive stuff, and it'd be like, hey man, think positive, and I would be like, I would like just throw all that shit away and then go over here and be like, I'll be sad. But now it's just like, nah,
Not no more.
not no more.
What was the shift? What was the shift in attitude, or what realizations did you have to come to reach that shift?
That not all my thoughts are true, and that they're not even all real. They're not even all mine.
Mm.
So I was believing things because someone said it, like, you're ugly or bobblehead. Like I thought I was weird or I was bad with girls, and a lot of that stuff was either someone saying it or because language is powerful.
Yeah, words are powerful.
Which is why I would self-talk. I have a poem called Self-Talk, and I would tell myself certain things like, oh, you're not able to draw that. Now guess what?
Now you're not able to draw that. Yeah.
You're not good with women. Guess what?
No, I'm not good
with women.
Yeah.
So after I started investigating them. I started investigating. Like when a thought would come up, I would sit that nigga down like we was on the
And
like,
then you try to find out the root of the problem.
Yeah, I'm like, so what's up, bro?
Yeah.
Like, what you doing here? Got me feeling this way. Like, what's up?
Yeah.
And then really come down to it, I'm like, it ain't even true.
Yeah.
Like, how could I have a thought that says I'm ugly when somebody said I was cool or beautiful
Right.
or handsome? Right. So then it's like, if that, like, how could one be true if that, like, how could I be ugly if that? So it kind of just like, after I started breaking it all down.
You had to challenge those ideals.
Yeah, and after I challenged them and broke them all down, bro, it kind of just left. Like, it kind of just, it had no room, it had no space.
Right. It had no power.
Yeah, it had no power, it had no space for it to stay cemented there. So
right.
It kind of just dissipated.
Yeah, no, that goes back to what seems to be the theme for us is right, like knowledge of self, right?
That was it.
Because I always say, if you know who you are, can't nobody tell you who you are.
Can't nobody.
You
can't
know what
tell
I mean?
You nothing.
And that's the tough part about the maturation process when you're maturing and you're coming into manhood and you're going into that. You really don't know who you are. You don't have a true sense of self. It's tough. You're still trying to find your way. But once you gain that true sense of self through sometimes trial and error, sometimes through deep inventory of self, sometimes through, psychedelics could be good for it as well. But once you find that true sense of self, then can't nobody sway you off of that. And you don't even listen to the talk no more, the outside, the dogmas that they put on you, you know what I mean? Because we do a lot of times suffer from dogma, and that's the ideas that people tell you are. What people tell you are, you start to but you start to become that. They say you are what you eat. I like to say you are what you consume. Rather that's through words, through what you're reading, through what you're listening to.
Yes.
A lot of times you become what you consume.
Yes.
So if you consume a lot of negative talk, if you consume a lot of negative media, if you consume a lot of negative things into your life, then you become negative.
Right.
But if you reject that stuff and you consume the positive, then you can start to live your life in that way.
Right.
And that was some of the realizations you were having on your journey.
Yeah,
for sure.
Gotta be very careful, like what you allow in and out of your temple. Even the things you would say come out of you. Like when you speak to somebody, like how I speak to you, how that affects, that's going to affect me and it's going to affect you. It kind of governs us in a way.
Right.
So, you got to watch what you intake and what the outtake is.
Yeah. No, for sure. And it's good to, and I think the more that you stop consuming that negative, the easier it becomes to not spew it out.
Yeah. And to let the positive inside, because a lot of people have and I think that was what was going on with me when I was younger, is that there were, waves of positivity attempting to come in, but I was so in the negative, it was hard for this to get in there to find a way in.
Right. Now, while I'm thinking about it, why don't you tell the people how to get a hold of you on social media if they want to follow your journey, they want to check out some of your stuff, the YouTube channels, tell them how to get a hold of that, and of course, make sure y'all like and subscribe to that.
All right, so the YouTube channel is gonna be Move with Peace. However, if that doesn't work, you can also search it up with Albino Christ. So either way will work. It's just the Move with Peace was starting to have some. This is being weird when you have to search it.
Right.
IG is man, shoot, it's crazy. I don't be on some of these all that time. All like
it's
that.
all good, bro.
So,
Yeah, make sure y'all follow us on Bunch of Bull Studio on IG, and make sure you subscribe and like if y'all watching now, and share this too, man. We need that support and that love.
Right. So the IG is albino_Christ. YouTube is Move with Peace or Albino Christ, and the Tiki, because I do be on the TikToks. I believe the TikTok is Move with Peace or Young Socrates. The TikTok is Move with Peace.
For sure. Make sure y'all follow him on all that, man, and reach out to that man. So you go on a journey. You're trying to figure out self. You're addressing some of the negative talk that you faced along the way, and you're finding it not to be true. You're finding some of the things that people told you, some of the things that you believe that people told you wasn't necessarily true because they told it to you. You're starting to find that sense of self.
Right.
What did that do to your confidence? How did it change you when you started to address these things in that way?
It was a confidence boost, because now after I like discarded all of these false things about me, it was like the truth. I just uncovered the truth that I was always the coolest nigga.
Right.
I just uncovered that. That was all. That was what was up under all that. I was the coolest nigga. Everybody loves me. Nigga, like, so I don't know. It was a great boost.
Yeah.
Confidence boost. It was an amazing one. Because now it's just like I just move. Now I just move freely. I don't really concern myself with how I move, because I might move a certain way. Someone might feel some type of way about it. That how someone feels about how I move, they got to figure it out. They got to
deal with that, right?
Yeah, how I move.
That's not your problem. That's their problem.
Your emotions ain't my problem in a sense.
Yeah.
So like, I got to take care of my emotions. Like, those are the only ones that I know that are like. Everybody else is flaky. You can't really, like, you can barely trust your own emotions. So
yeah, you can't control their emotions, right? So what you gonna do about it?
Yeah, well, I'm over here worried about what they think. That, man, you stressed out because of how I did a backflip down the street. Man, well, you better take a chill pill or something.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. The freedom part of what you said, you became more free as you begin to have that understanding about self, and with that freedom came a confidence. And with that freedom came a whole nother understanding of just what you said, that, the way they feel about you is none of your business or any of your concern. That's an issue that they need to take care of with themselves. Yeah, no, that's powerful, bro. That's a powerful thing when you can reach that type of freedom, right? Because that's what it truly becomes, freedom. Because sometimes we can imprison ourselves with other people's thoughts and how they feel about us.
Yeah, even how they feel, we can imprison ourselves because they feel a certain way. I don't want to. And I still feel myself falling into that nowadays because I'm just so like a caring person. I don't want to
overstep boundaries or
I don't want to make
offend.
you feel. I don't want to do none of that on purpose. Like, I don't want to like that's my intent to come over here and just fuck shit up. Like, nah, that ain't my intent. But I mean, it happens sometimes. But that's what you gotta communicate.
And you also got to reconcile that with yourself, that this ain't a me thing. This is a them thing.
That's a them thing, yeah.
So what birthed Albino Christ? Where did the Albino Christ name come from for you?
It was me and my brother, D. Lavelle. Me and him, we was chatting, and he got sometimes he be calling himself Muhammad and stuff. And we was just chit chatting and like poking fun, but essentially, like, I'm albino, And the Christ part just really came from like being Christ-like. So I was like, Albino Christ, and we was both just like, yo, that's hard.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's nothing, no one else
Who's doing that?
Who's that?
Yeah, who's
Me.
doing that? Yeah.
And then I was like, boom, that's it. And it kind of, I don't know, it kind of stuck.
Yeah.
It rubs people.
Does it?
It rubs people the wrong way sometimes. Some people don't even. Some people, I've told some people that I'm Albino Christ, and then they'll say Albino Jesus, and I'm like, that's not what I said.
Yeah.
It's like I see where you're coming from when you say it, but that's, I don't know. I didn't tell you that.
Right.
Like if I wanted pizza and you came back with ice cream.
Yeah.
Type. That's how I feel.
It'll be disappointing, right?
Yeah, it'd be like, dang, that's not. But
well, why don't we explore that a little bit, like clear it up for the people? What do you, why are the two different for you?
See, the Christ for me is just a title. It's not like a part of somebody's name. Like it seems like people are like, that's his last name.
Right.
Like is this his last like on his birth certificate it would be like boom Christ. Like
right.
Is it that? Nah. I think that's a title. Not even I think. Like you get anointed, the anointed one.
Right.
That's just a title. So what? Multiple people can have that title.
Right.
So why not me?
Yeah. So you're saying it's like a lord or
something like that.
Or a duke.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's just another form of a title.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
There's be multiple Christ.
Mm-hmm.
There could be multiple lords. There's multiple lords right now. So like,
right.
That's how I look at it. I don't look at it like, because I think people think I'm trying to be him.
Okay.
Or like move like, hey, we might be moving similarly, but like I don't.
That's by design. That's not by. Not on purpose.
Yeah, that's by design.
Yeah.
When you try to help people, that's what it look like.
Right.
But
it looks Christ-like.
It looks Christ-like.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like that's what it looks Christ-like.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good that we make that distinction and we clarify that for the people, and so they can understand why you feel the way you feel. And you know what I mean, like you said, some people it may rub the wrong way, but once again, at least after they understand where you're coming from, then that's on them to figure it out.
Yeah,
why that rubs you the wrong way.
Yeah, why does that rub you the wrong way? Figure that out. And now all that goes into you figuring out why what I do rubs you the wrong way is helping you figure out. That's knowledge itself.
Right.
So essentially, I'm just walking around. I'm a teacher.
You're a mirror.
Right. A mirror.
Yeah.
It's funny because I got a tattoo. I got the world is a mirror. It's like a little hand mirror right there, and I got it made out of the world. Like
that's hard. I see the globe portions of yeah.
So I was just like, the world's a mirror. Like however you feel inside.
That's what you're going to project on the outside.
Right. If you feel hazy, confused, and mad, you're going to get reflections of that out. You're going to deal with some hazy, confused, mad people. You're going to be all stressed out over here, not being able to concentrate. All types of stuff's going to be going on in your life. Going probably get sick because that's what all types of stuff goes wrong.
Yeah, man, and that's been proven. They've done studies on things where they have like a jar of rice, and they'll say just bad things to the jar of rice, and they'll have another jar of rice where they'll just say good things, and the bad jar of rice starts rotting quicker and gets decomposed. Or they do that with different vegetables or different plant life, and they can see that the negative words has a bad impact and the positive word has a good impact on these things. That's been proven. And that goes back to what we said at the beginning about the power of words, and how you start to understand the power of words, and that's a good segue back into the poetry, right? Because you started getting into the poetry because it became a way to kind of jot your ideas down in a way that you feel, and you found that to be liberating as well.
Right.
Now, that first poem, was it difficult to get those words out? Was it difficult to make that first poem? Or did it just flow? Did it come easy?
It kind of just flowed. It kind of just came to me. But I mean, it wasn't it was like a mix.
Okay.
Because it was the first one. So like it it might have like felt or seemed like it was going to be hard because I didn't know I didn't even know where I was going to go with it. I just started like jotting down stuff.
Just started writing.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, you know, I'll be at work, think of a few lines. Now I'm walking home, thinking of a few, and then like I'm like halfway through the first little part of it. I'm like, wow, I'm making this. Like I'm making this, and then it just kind of just came together. I really wish I knew exactly how long, like how many. Because it didn't take like a day for me to just think of that.
Right. It was over a period of time.
Yeah, it was over a period of time. I don't know exactly how long though. It was probably about a week. I ain't gonna lie. Like from the moment I first thought about the words to when I was like, okay, this is done. It's probably about a week.
Did you start jotting it down right away, or was it just a thought?
The first 2 lines I jot down. I jot those down because I was like, I didn't want to lose them.
Right.
Because I was like, I was gonna start thinking, and then I'm gonna be like, dang, what's the first things I said?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to lose that, so I wrote those down, and I just started to go from there. That's kind of how I usually do it. If I have a thought,
is that still your process?
Like, yeah, if I think of something, I'm like, okay, I just go write it down. I'll start a whole new poem, and I'll just go. I'll write a line. I'm like, all right, that's the start of that one. Or at least that is in this poem, like that bar or whatever is gonna be in here.
That poem, yeah, for sure. Do you remember that first poem?
Hangman.
Hey man.
Hangman.
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 Okay.
I can read it for y'all.
Yeah.
It's a really good
So
one.
what inspired that poem that day? What made you think to start writing that down? What brought you to that poem that day? Was there a mood? Was there a feeling? Was there an event?
Hangman, it was like the baby poem for the liberation. It was like the first thing that was on that was the stuff that was on my mind at the moment, liberating. Like I was watching all that stuff, looking up all that stuff, reading about and I was just like, oh yeah, let me just put all this stuff I got right here in my head. Let me just put that right there.
Yeah.
Just write this down.
Yeah, it's funny the things that brings us to that place of creativity. Sometimes you don't know where it comes from, and that's what's so spiritual about art. Because sometimes it seems like it comes out of nowhere.
Right. Here we go.
Y'all now tuned into the world's dopest podcast, the Marley State of Mind podcast. Got my man Dijon with me, Albino Christ.
Yo. It's actually funny. I wrote this May 19th, 2022.
Okay.
Just a little bit ago.
Yeah.
That's actually funny.
Yeah, that is funny. We're almost, what's that, 3 years now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, 3 years and some days. All right. You ready?
I'm ready for you.
All right, so this poem is called Hangman. So you want to play with the hangman, but you can't hang man, dang man. Let's flip the script. I could join a gang clan. I'm just speaking in slang, man. This is all a part of the game plan. I can hit you with that bang, Dan, or slide around with that fang, Stan. History tells us they used to hang man, then suppress the women's minds. You can see it on her brain scans. Do you dig what I'm saying, fam? I'm the one they used to hang man, but they still hang man, not the woman. For her, they have their own plan. Makeup, lashes, beauty, that's a scam. Fire red Aries, that's a ram. Women need to be at the forefront of our nations, but they're too worried about the glitz and the glam. So I'll ask again, do you really want to play hangman? Turn the black king on his black queen. Now the children are caught in between, so I intervene from a realm unseen, where it's black and we lack a vision nor a dream. You see, The truth comes in words and imagery, symmetry, matrix. This is the Sims you see. Face it. Find your soulmate, ascend, Trinity. No generation of people among you will know me. They sterilized the woman, scared of Christ, poltergeist. This ain't no high shit. Wait, what if I didn't open my eyes? Shit, this is a crisis. Did you see the symmetry? The inner me guided by energy? It's my energy. Middle finger up to the enemy. Black men, we gotta love our black women. Work together. Plot twist. They make her the enemy for a greater effect. Synergy. Who in the hell ordained these men? It's all becoming clearer, G. Hangman, are you hearing me? Dan just spun the block. He's coming with the spray can. Can Stan spray? Isn't it strange, man? This man hangs. You're speaking to the hangman. Minds will wander. Some will stand under but won't understand why I'm swinging from bar to bar like Tarzan. The script is flipped. Underhanding knowledge was the game plan. But what do I know? I'm just speaking in Hangman.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Thank you, G. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, man. And it seems like you speak a lot about what seems to be brewing a lot that I see is like a battle between men and women, right? They pit us against each other.
Yeah, they do.
Rather it be by design or not. And I think a lot of it is by design. You know, for me, you know, it seems like they're breaking down the family structure. And that goes a lot into breaking down the family structure. And it's something that's so needed. But we're seeing less and less of it nowadays.
Especially with us.
Especially in the black culture.
Especially with us, yeah. Our families are getting, it's like less and less. Like, where's the, you know, how grandmas used to be the glue?
Mm-hmm.
We just like losing that. Losing the glues.
Yeah, so definitely seeing less of that. And it seems like in the 80s, especially when the crack epidemic was introduced, is when we started to see the most of it. Through that, we lost a lot of fathers to drug use, or either selling drugs and going to the prison system, right? When they had the war on drugs, and when the war on drugs came about, then we started to lose a big part of that family structure. And when you don't have examples of that, then it becomes harder to create that.
Right.
And then they married our women to the state in a lot of cases, right? And when I say married to the state, I mean like with the welfare program and this new independent woman thing. I don't need a man mentality. And then, you know, being married to the state, that takes the place of the man in the household right now, because now you have state-funded housing. And then you make it difficult for them to work a job because you create different obstacles once they become married to the state, right? Because if you make a certain income, now you have to pay out of pocket, and you can't support the same lifestyle you had when you didn't have that income. So they make it easier to not work as opposed to work and to become independent. And they marry these women to the state, right? They even make it illegal for them to have the same felons who may have been their significant other in the household now if it's government housing, right? Because you can't have a felon stay with you. So it's even more broader part of the plan, which I said a lot, right?
It's all good. It's all good.
But for you, is what are your feelings on that? Why do you think there is the separation in the battle between men and women as we see it today?
We would just be, it's kind of like how I think why we're in the box the way we are now. It's just, we would be too powerful if we worked together. Like if the black man and the black woman like really like sat here and was like, let's work together to like build this together, we all did that. I mean, like, how would they, what would be able to stop us?
What do you think the obstacle that is stopping us?
Ourselves.
Yeah.
At this point, it might have been something like earlier on, but at this point now, we're stopping ourselves.
Yeah.
We've been in and around bullshit for so long. Now we are bullshit. Like we've been sitting around the shit. Now we're covered in it. Now we take on aspects of the shit. Now we speak like the shit. Now we look like the shit. Now we talk like the shit. Now we dress like the shit. Like,
Yeah, once you're fed poison for so long, it tastes weird when you get the medicine. So
Mm-hmm.
you reject it. So you get you so used to the poison that you continue to consume it.
yeah,
Type of mentality.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
But there has to be a remedy, right?
yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out. Well, they say love is everything, but like, is it? Like,
Is it?
does that actually win over everything? I don't know. I've just heard love be used in some crazy ways to be like, well, that's what's gonna help us all. Is love? I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
though.
Yeah. Well, operating in high vibrations and being positive certainly is a good way to start, right?
For sure.
That's a good way to start,
For
right?
sure. Yeah.
Reach one, teach one. So if you're one that's operating in that, and then you start to infect the people around you, then you can start spreading the message that way. And the more you start to talk and believe and show that life, then other people will want to follow in those footsteps, right? And then we get back into the whole concept of Christ-like.
Right.
But yeah, no, you're right. It is to the point where we've been given the poison for so long that we're comfortable with it and we're cool with it. And in some cases scared of getting the medicine and knowing what it feels like to be on the right side of it, right? Because it's new territory.
Right. When you've been so used to the thing, you're like, oh, I don't want to go over there. Like,
Right.
but
Stockholm syndrome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So.
So you wrote that first poem, Hangman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, did you share it with others when you first wrote it, or how were you
Yeah.
about it when you first got it? Were you nervous to let people hear this side of you, or were you open and willing to share that side of you?
I was super willing.
Mm,
I felt like it needed to be heard,
for sure.
and I didn't mind. I was working at Gabe's at the time. I would read my poems to the customers in line.
Yeah.
Like, I would notice when there would be a long line, I'd be like, "You like poetry?" They'd be like, "Yeah." I'd be like, "You trying to hear one?" They'd be like, "Sure." I'll pull it out, start reading. Like, yeah, I'd be super willing. Like, I don't know. It feels. It's like someone's really gonna, like, if I ask you to read your poem, like, I get your attention.
Mm,
Like, you can talk to somebody and you might not get their full attention, but like, I don't know, when it comes to you want to listen to what I'm saying.
right.
So it's kind of like,
You think it's more direct. It's more.
Yeah.
It's more purposeful
yeah,
whenever you're doing the poetry, as opposed to just conversing with someone.
yeah, it's more purposeful, more personal too.
Mm.
More like, I'm more vulnerable in my poetry
Right.
than I am in real life, in a sense.
Mm.
Like, being open and stuff. Like, I can express myself and get my thoughts off, but there's some stuff it's just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to say it, like, just to be like that. But I know I can write it.
You got more time to sit with it when you write it, right?
Yeah. Like, I can be like, okay, so how do I? But like, right in the moment when you're like, somebody wants to talk about something and it's like, boom, and it's like, oh dang, how do
Emotions can be high right in the moment.
Yeah, right now I'll be like, I need a break. I need like, give me like 5 minutes and then I'll like come back and then I got you.
Right. For sure. So you said you were sharing it with the people. What was the response like when you started sharing it?
Everybody loved it. They was honestly, a lot of people told me they were surprised I didn't start doing this sooner, or they thought that I always wrote.
Wow.
They always thought, like, people, when I told people, there's like, we always thought you would do something like this, or, well, I'm surprised you didn't do anything like this sooner.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, wow, it's crazy, because I just drew. I didn't know. I literally just drew pictures. My brothers, like, they wrote. They're more musically inclined.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so they wrote stuff down, like, when, like, words and stuff. I didn't. I was just draw. I just drew. I didn't even think I'd even be good at, because I never even thought about it.
Right.
So I didn't even know what I would be like when I did it, and then I did it, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then people like it, and I'm like, oh, that's even different. I didn't know. Like I said, I just wrote some shit, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Now, through writing, I know it's early on for you. Through writing, have you met other people in the community of poetry?
Yeah, a few.
Yeah,
A few, I definitely have.
yeah.
I've been to a few open mics,
Mm-hmm.
whether they've been like local, like I've been to the Poetry Lounge in Pittsburgh.
Dope.
I was
And shout out to Poetry Lounge out in Millville for sure.
yeah, for real, that's a dope place out there.
It is a dope place for sure.
There was a few in town. There was one there's a tea shop at the tea house. There was a little poetry event. There's one by on Beeson Avenue, right where that it's what's it called now? It's From Scratch. Ever been there?
Mm-hmm. Not familiar.
So it's like a little corner coffee shop.
That's what's up.
But
And they have a poetry
I've been to
night.
A few. Yeah, they be having like little open mic nights and stuff. So
And you said you've been introduced to this to the poetry community. What has that been like? Getting yourself engulfed and getting yourself immersed inside of that poetry community. Being around like-minded individuals who sort of think like you.
For the poetry aspect of it, it's pretty dope because it's like I be like I rhyme a lot when I write. So whenever I'm listening, and I like the poems that don't rhyme.
Right.
But for when I'm writing them, they sound bizarre. I'm like, oh, hold on. But when I'm listening to somebody else's, I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
Right.
So I like being able to hear other people's work and like
Hear their approach.
Yeah, and hear what's on, like what do they, because I know why I wrote it, like why I wrote mine, like how I feel and what was on my mind. So then when I get to hear somebody else, I'm like, dang, that's how they feel,
Right.
or that's what they were going through right then and there, and I'm like, but the subject matter about what I write, I need to now. That's the home that I'm attempting to look for when it comes to the subject matter, because I'm not around a lot of that, which is cool, but you know.
You would like to get some people who are sort of on the same wavelength.
Yeah,
if you will.
Yeah. So I'm still, when I was talking about that team earlier, I'm still looking for them.
Right. Yeah, man. If y'all are hearing this and y'all want to be a part of the team, make sure you do it, man. So you're going to the poetry lounge. You said you started hearing different styles of poetry. You said you really enjoy the people who don't necessarily rhyme, but a lot of your poetry, like you said, the reason you started rhyming, it was inspired by like hip hop.
Right.
So it makes sense that you're more inclined to rhyme. I didn't even do that on purpose. You're more inclined to rhyme because yours is inspired by hip hop. Now you said whenever you try to do the different styles that don't necessarily involve rhyming, you don't feel comfortable in that space.
Yeah, I got to give it more like time to play around with it, because I'm pretty sure I can make a fire poem that don't rhyme.
Yeah.
I just got to do it. I just got to keep doing them, like, because the first one might not be good.
Right.
It might not be, or not necessarily good, but it might not be exactly how I want it or how it needs to be. It might just be like, this might be the rough draft one.
Right.
And it might be the third poem that doesn't rhyme. That'd be like,
that's
the one.
That's what I was looking for.
That's the one I was looking for
sure.
So yeah, I just gotta keep at it.
No, 100%, man, and that's the big key to it. Now, are you looking to get published at this point? Have you been published at this point with the poetry? Have you put any thought into being published?
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm working on the project's called Light Bearer, and it's gonna have 40 poems and 4 chapters.
Is there a significance in that number 4 for you?
I was born on the June 4th.
Okay.
So
there is significance.
Yeah, that's the birthday.
Yeah.
I actually have an event coming up on my birthday that it kind of has to deal with all of the stuff that we kind of been talking about already.
Yeah.
It's called the Black Sun Project.
Okay.
It's on June 4th. That's a Wednesday from 12 to 8. The location is at the Grant Street Park.
Dope.
So my idea with this event is I'm inviting all Black people of all ages to come meditate with me down at Grant Park for at least 5 minutes. And then after the 5 minutes, you're free to leave. But the idea is just, it's like a smaller door
Yeah.
to open up a bigger door.
Door. Yeah.
Like, I know we need more than 5 minutes of meditation. We need like a deep computer factory reset for our whole entire like being. But you know, we go through a lot of stress. We got to navigate through racism every day. Not all of us, some of us, but I just want to give people like the 5-minute break
From the world.
from the world.
Yeah.
So they could and you do what you want to do with that 5 minutes while you're meditating, whatever you want to do. If you want to forget everything, cool. If you want to look for yourself in that 5 minutes, and you might not find yourself, but there might be some footsteps that now you can go follow on your own.
Yeah.
So
is that something that's a part of your everyday life, meditating? Is that something that's important to you?
Yeah. And meditation looks different. It's not most people hear meditation, they think to sitting down in one spot.
Right.
That's what will be taking place
at that event.
At the event.
Right.
But if you read books, like if you can meditate by reading, you can meditate by taking a walk. Mm-hmm. I even think dancing is a form of meditation. Something that gets you to focus on the now. Because our mind is constantly shifting between the past and the future. It's very ever right here. Right. And in the past and the future is where most, if not all, of our distress, sadness, and all that, and anxiety, all that comes from. So.
No, 100%, bro. It's a lot of times we take the present for granted, and we long for things of the past, or we wait over anticipating things of the future. You know, holidays are a great example of that, right? You'll spend all this time waiting for Christmas. Then it gets there, and you can't really enjoy the moment. What up, Steve? We see you in the comments. What's good with you, bro?
What's up, y'all?
Yeah, for sure. But a lot of times we spend just anticipating that moment. Then once it get there, we can't even enjoy it because the anticipation was so much. And then once it's gone, then you're longing for that moment that was lost all over again. Right. So that is good to be present in a moment. I know it's a lot of times I try to take a deep breath. If I go to a new place, one of the first things I do is try to take a deep breath and try to be very present in that moment and recognize where I am in that moment in time and space, and try not to let it pass me by. If I do something that I think is a big thing to me, or it's a big experience, I try to take a deep breath and try to be very much in the moment, and even talk to people that surround me about the moment. Like, man, I can't believe we're here right now. And try to be present in that. Yeah. It is good to be present in that. And I think you're right. It is good to take that reset. Myself, I do practice meditation and prayer. I think they're one and the same. It just depends on how you want to call it or how you want to do it. It's important to get in touch with your higher self, that inner self. Right. And to talk to yourself and have some self-reflection and maybe not think about nothing for a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
think
just about so much stuff
all the
day,
time,
every day. Like, how about you not? Just don't. Just stop for a little bit. Just watch your thoughts go by. Because, like, one of the ways that I look at it is, well, not one of the ways, the way I look at it is, it's like when I'm meditating, I'm sitting in the 6-lane highway, and the thoughts are just the cars. And most of the time, we find ourselves, like, attaching ourselves to a thought, following it, seeing where it goes. But, like, when I'm sitting there, I don't try to follow the car down the road. I just, like, the car goes by, it's just like, oh, like, that's just a thought. Like, don't just observe it. Be the observer. Don't
be the pedestrian.
Yeah, don't interact with none of them. Because like, you get to really, like, when you take a step back and look at everything, you be like, okay. Like, how many times that thought come down the road? Like, how many times that car come down the road? Yeah. Like, how many times? And then when you stop giving them attention, like I said earlier, there's no space for them. Yeah. When you don't do that, so
they don't have the same importance that they once had.
So.
No, and another thing it's funny. You talk about it in that way as in a vehicle, because I often think of it as a way of a current. I mean, a lot of times, if you're swimming and you're in a heavy current, you're just pedaling. You're just paddling. You're not thinking about anything but survive and keep your head above water. Mm-hmm. Now, when you get out that current, you might look back at that current. You're like, but damn, it's not even as bad as I thought it was. You can have a different perspective of it once you take yourself out of it and look at it.
Right.
But when you're in that thing, you know, it's tough to really understand what that thing is.
Yes, sir.
So no, it is good to take that reflection. Now you said you had the event coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about this.
Black Sun Project,
Mm-hmm.
June 4th. It's a Wednesday. It's going to be 12 to 8 at Grant Street Park. And this is an event that is to be the stepping stones, or like the starting place for the black people to really like get into themselves, get into their being, into seeing who they are, finding out who we are for ourselves. And hosted by me.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Hosted by me.
Hosted by
So
you for sure.
come stop by. Like I said, only 5 minutes. It's meditation. I'm only going to need you for 5 minutes. If you want to stay and hang out, you can, because I'm going to be there all day. I do have a few questions that I have written up that I'm going to be asking people. And I will be reading 2 poems, and one will be from the Light Bearer Project.
Nice. Very dope, man. Very dope.
Also, I will be I'll be live throughout the event. I believe the event's going to be live on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So make sure you're subscribed. So if you're not able to make it, you can still pop a squat where you're at. Maybe you start reading the book for 5 minutes or something, so you can still
be present.
Be present with us. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure, man. No, I love it, man. And, once again, I appreciate you coming out and talking to us about your journey.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You know, talking to us about the poetry. You know, hopefully you inspired someone else to do some poetry, you know, if they never thought about it or never thought it was necessarily for them. You know, you yourself never thought about it and thought it was for you, and you've been able to find a release and an outlet for yourself through the poetry. So you never know. And it doesn't have to be like what you perceive it to be at first when you're first writing it down. Just start writing down some thoughts.
Start writing them down.
Yeah.
You don't know. Like I said, I started
2
Hangman,
lines.
Hangman, Dang Dan, Hang Slan. I was like, hold on, Stan, boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that's where it came from that.
So yeah, man. No, hopefully you inspire some poets or some writers out there, or even if that's not for you, you know what I mean, start thinking about different ways of expression. You never know where that'll take you. You never know how you can help your life's mission by having that expression. But yeah, man, you know, it's your man Marley here on the world's dopest podcast, the Marley State of Mind podcast, down here at the Bunch of Bulls studio. You could join us every Saturday for the world's dopest podcast. This was episode 99.
Hey,
episode 99. We got episode 100 next week, which will be real special. We're going to bring it all full circle. But until then, my name's Marley. I appreciate y'all for joining me. Till next time, we're out. Peace.